Hello everyone, welcome back to Golden VinylSpin. Thank you for tuning in today. We're going to be discussing a very controversial subject that a lot of people will argue over, or you know, it's crazy, and that is conditions of vinyl records and the value of them based on the condition. Now, I say it's a very controversial subject because a lot of people will grade their records differently than other people. We won't get into the broad part of that. Some people have their own personal preference on how they grade their records. I have my own personal preference how I grade my records. I don't follow a certain standard, but over time my customers have gotten used to my standard of grading records, and when I say something is something, they relate it to me as the seller, as, you know, my standard. But today we're going to be talking about a different standard that a lot of people have been using when they sell their records as a way of saying, hey, we know what the hell we have and we're going to sell it based on this. And they, I do not believe 100% even know what that standard is, other than a piece of paper that might have gave them a definition of what VG was, VG Plus was, or VG anything, or excellent or near mint. I think someone verbally said this to them, some sellers, what that is, and they took it and run with it and sell albums. And some customers get very disappointed of what they're receiving because they believed that it was based on the standard that they were selling it for. Today we're going to tackle gold mine standard. If anyone wants to check the facts on this video, I highly suggest you pick up this book here. Every collector should have this book. It's kind of like a guideline. It's a cool read, right? But what we're going to talk about is the different grades. I have seen people say VG plus, VG plus plus, VG plus plus plus, excellent, near mint, mint. There's too many grades. That's too many grades. If you're going to say that you went by these guys. So mint is pretty basic. It's a brand new album, but be very careful of some of the older albums, you know, that show up on the market that are original pressings from like 1985, 86, 87, or any year that's beyond, I would say, 10 years. Be very cautious when they're not open. I don't know if they're going to be mint. That's why a lot of sellers would be like, no idea, no idea. It's sealed. You're taking a risk. It's been floating around the market for a while, or maybe it was just sitting on that shelf since day one from 10 years ago, which I highly doubt it. But be careful when you're buying those. Expect the worst and maybe get the best. I have done it. I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky to be able to buy old records. I got old records from 30 years ago that were still sealed, and I opened them up. So near mint, when we're getting into near mint, it's basically the album is open. There'd be no scratches whatsoever that you can't, you know, there'd be zero scratches. Near mint is zero scratches. Do not mix up scratches with scuffs. Now, scuffs is okay in VG Plus. We're going to talk about VG Plus in a minute. Now, near mint, you may see fingerprints. Obviously, it's brand new album. Someone opened it up. They're not handling it properly. It could be one or two fingerprints. And around the spindle where that goes on, you got this nice shiny surface there. You may have a little bit of rubbing and stuff from people sliding it onto the over the spindle onto the turntable, and so that's considered, you know, near mint. Now we're getting into VG Plus. There is no Supreme. There's no VG Plus 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 Plus. You know, the superior, excellent. I've seen it all. I've seen different gradings all around. But we're talking gold mine standards. If you're going to advertise that you're in gold mine standards, those are not gold mine standards. It goes from mint, near mint, VG Plus. Now we're into VG Plus. You're going to have minor scuffs that aren't audible. This is the key. Everything in VG Plus that is faults, there should be no audible picked up from the faults. Remember that. So when someone says that it was play graded, take that with a grain of salt. Some people think that that's good enough, regardless of what that album looks like. It could be scratched up with all the pieces, but then they say, well, no, it's play graded. Some albums work like great, you know. That's true. I have had albums that I could not pick up the audio of those scuffs and stuff, and that's amazing. But at the end of the day, based on gold mine, there's no scratches that you can pick up audible. There may be very little. There also may be a slight warp, and that is not jumping your needle out of the grooves. So Fiji Plus is basically, you know, it's been around a little bit, but it does not affect the playability. It's not deep scratches in it. There shouldn't be a whole lot of scratches. I mean, non-audible scratches, in my world, I would put them, you know, I say if there's a whole whack all over that album, even though you can't hear it, it's not Fiji Plus. Very little. They're almost like you missed them. When you're looking at the album and under a certain light, you missed it. Until you got home, you're like, shit, there is one there. That is still Fiji Plus as long as you can't feel it with your, some people say fingertips, some people say fingernails. Bottom line is your stylus is not going to pick it up. You don't want your stylus to pick up any scratches because you can damage your stylus. Now that is where I go, my go-to with a lot of my records. I try to get Fiji Plus near mint into my store because I'm a very small store and I don't have the space for anything else. Fiji Plus generally valued at around 50% less than near mint. 50%. That's where a lot of people are getting things wrong. They're still grading it at near mint or putting the prices at near mint, but it's supposed to be 50% down from that. And there may be some wear showing on your label of the record. That's about it. Now, this is where things go a little array with me. When you get into Fiji albums, I hate them. I don't want them in my store. I don't want to sell them to customers because what a Fiji album is everything a Fiji Plus is, that's amplified. So the flaws are amplified. This time you have the scratches that you can feel it with your fingertip, so therefore it could damage your stylus on your table. Or you can hear it in between the songs, staticky. It's kind of annoying actually. I hate Fiji albums. I don't have them in my own collection. I don't want to sell them to anyone. In fact, when I buy collections, I do put Fiji out in a bin for about $2, and they could be albums that normally people would sell for X amount of money because of the artist and who they are and what the album is. But to me, the condition dictates the price and not the popularity. So I put it in the $2 section. And usually what happens, the $2 section gets really big, and I have a local friend that does artwork with albums, and then there's another one that doesn't mind that kind of stuff, and I give them to them. And you say, well, you have the $2 section. 99% of the time, if someone comes into my store and they pick out other albums in my store and then they notice that they have the $2 section at the checkout, I allow them to have them if they're within a stack of albums that they're buying that are Fiji Plus near mint stuff. As a thank you, you can have them. To me, Fiji albums are useless, they're crap, they ain't worth anything. You're going to say, well, that's not true. You're right. You're right in a sense. They do have a value. Some people have value with the albums because they have a connection with it. or they're holding on to them until they can get a better copy, and that's fine. That's your personal preference. And I do have a few Rolling Stones albums in my collection that are VG because of the jacket or you know, their album itself. So that's an unfair statement, but I'm not going to edit it out. I go back and forth from VG stuff. Most of the time I think they're crap and I don't want them. But there are the odd time that I will hang on to them. I don't sell them in the store other than being for $2. And like I said, half time I give them out to people when they buy other stuff. So, but that is my opinion and how I interpret the gold mine standard. And this was written by Dave Thompson, and Dave Thompson is an expert when it comes to this stuff. He's written over 100 price guide books exclusively for different people. Like it even says on here, he's a research expert and pricing expert for an array of vinyl record guides, including the standard catalog of American records, Gold Mine record album price guide, and Gold Mine jazz album price guide. So he's a reliable source. I really recommend you pick up anything that he has written. The standard hasn't really changed when it comes to grading your records. It is what it is. What the price that people are selling them for is debatable. I have my way of pricing things. I do look on Discogs. I find what they sold for, not what they're selling for. I do not look at eBay. And I try to be lower than everyone because I know that people come into my store and they look on Discogs and they be like, well, you're higher than this person, you're higher than that person. But the friggin' fact is, I'm right here and you're in my store and you're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to get your album. You're gonna have to pay shipping and blah blah blah. Don't insult me, because it's fuck off, you know. So that's it. That's all we're discussing today. I wanted to educate some of the new collectors out there on what to look for when it comes to albums and what to expect in the price. If you see an album in one store that's in better condition versus the other and they have a huge price difference, there's probably a good reason for that. Like I say, it goes down 50% when it goes to VG Plus. It goes down to 25% value of a VG Plus if it's a VG. But does everyone go by that? No. If they say they go by the gold mine standard, they have to. So that's how I see it. If you're going to claim it, then show it. If you're not going to go by it and you're just flying by the seam of your pants, walk away from them. It ain't worth it. They're not doing the research, and most likely they're just trying to sell you an album because of the popularity of who the artist is or what's on it, or heck, the album could have sold for $100 on Discogs at VG Plus or Mint, and they're, who knows what the reasons are. But there you have it, folks. I hope this video helped you understanding how albums are graded, not how albums are priced, other than the fact that going from mint to near mint are pretty near the same almost, except new to open, and near mint to VG Plus goes 50%, and VG Plus to VG is 25%. That's it. Thank you for watching Golden Final Spin. I hope you tune in next week as we tackle some other things. I'm not sure what the video is going to be, but you're going to have to tune in to find out. Thank you for watching Golden Final Spin. Remember, keep spinning.